Do you ever feel overwhelmed with the idea of making homemade bread? Today I'm going to show you how easy it can be. Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today. I'm going to show you how I make my sourdough bread at home using sourdough starter. So this sourdough starter is probably about 5 years old. I'm pretty sure that I've had this one for at least 2 years, and then I've got it from a friend who had it for about a year, and she got it from a friend who had it for about a year or two as well. So right now you're gonna see the black band that I have on here. This is actually where my starter started at, and I fed it today, so then all the little bubbles in here made it go all the way up to here, which is what you want because that means it's active and it's good to go. So I don't use any yeast in my bread at all. It's actually all from the sourdough starter. If you don't have sourdough starter or don't know where to get it, usually there's a Facebook page that you can join that's sourdough starter or sourdough starter breads, things like that, that you can go ahead and actually comment. And sometimes there's a lot of people in your area that does sourdough starter. There are websites that you can go to go ahead and make your own starter. It can be a little difficult if you're new at it, so I highly recommend maybe joining one of those Facebook pages and looking to go ahead and get sourdough starter from someone who already has some. They're really nice, by the way. Very helpful. This is how I got to learn everything that I have. So I got mine from my friend, like I had said. It took me about 7 tries before I actually made something from it because I was intimidated by it, because you have to feed it once a week. And yeah, I know that's weird, but literally all this is the starter that you have, and then flour and water, nothing else. I am getting bread flour that I want to go ahead and incorporate into this, but it's on back order. No, I can't find bread flour anywhere. So right now this is literally just all-purpose flour, starter, and water. That's all that is. For the bread that I make, I actually found the recipe on Pinterest, which I'll have a link down below. The simplest thing is what I need, because I still have a full-time job. I still have another YouTube channel with my husband, and I have 2 kids. Usually I do this bread on Sundays, which is also laundry day, grocery shopping day, and all that. So I need something simple. And this is the simplest one that I have that has usually 90% of the time has a good turnout, and it's pretty versatile, so you can actually add things to it if you want to. So this bread that I'm making today literally just only has 4 ingredients in it, and I'm going to show you how I make it. So I have, of course, my mixing bowls, salt, oil for not sticking to the bowl, my starter, water, and then the flour. I get this from, if it's bound back order, I'll get it on Amazon, but they also have these at Costco. It's just an all organic unbleached flour. So I'll be using my scale, and if you don't have one of these, I'll have a link down below. I think I pretty much got like the cheapest one on there just because I didn't know how often I'd be using it, and I think I've had this for like 7 years. So I'm gonna go ahead and have it set to grams because that's what the recipe calls for. The recipe that I'm gonna have linked down below has measurements, but the turnout of my bread has been a lot better since I started weighing my ingredients instead of measuring them. For some reason, it just made a really big difference. So that's what I'll be doing from now on. So right now, I'm gonna go ahead and add my starter. Let me get my recipe up here because I still have to look at it even though I make it every week. So my starter, I'm just gonna go ahead and pour it in here. Also, something on the starter, when you join one of those Facebook pages, everybody has a different type because you can add rye, you can add wheat, they even have a gluten-free sourdough starter website as well. That one's kind of cool. I'm a part of quite a few of them, but mine is what you would call dehydrated. It's not fully hydrated. It's probably 75%, I guess. A lot of people, it's almost liquidy. Mine, I can't keep up with mine when it's that liquidy. So right now I'm adding 60 grams of my sourdough starter, and there we go. And then I will end up feeding this again one more time today because I want to make sure that it stays active. And usually I keep mine in the refrigerator, so I only have to feed it once a week. But of course, if I'm making bread constantly, I'll go ahead and feed it more than once a week. So if you don't know what I mean by feeding it, I'm pretty sure I said at the beginning of the video that I have to go ahead and add flour and water to this and discard anything that I don't use, which I have recipes for that I end up using the discard so I don't waste any of it. So now I'm gonna go ahead and add my salt, which is just 12 grams of salt. Just kind of shake that in here till I get to 12. All right. And then my water, or my flour, I'm gonna add my flour now, and it is 510 grams of flour. So it takes just a little, but I go through this flour. I would say that, so usually they come in a 2-pack when I get it at Costco. So it's 2 20-pound bags, or 2 10 bags, 10 pound. I think it's 10 pounds. There you go. So it's 20 pounds total, and I'll go through these pretty quick. So I didn't start actually getting confident enough to make the bread for a while. It took me a long time. I'm pretty sure that I had the starter in my refrigerator and feeding it and doing anything that I could. I made biscuits. That's probably about the extent that I did, because I was a little intimidated, but then it doesn't hurt. Like, you're gonna continue to grow it, so, or make it, so why not try it out? You just throw it out if it doesn't taste good. But my kids actually like this. They prefer this over the store-bought bread that I do. And on a plus side, it makes your house smell amazing in the day. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add my flour, or my water now, and it's 314 grams that I'm gonna be adding. This one I always mess up and I add like just a little too much, so hopefully I won't do that on this time. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna get rid of that. And I'm gonna go ahead and mix this up. I'm gonna show you actually how liquidy it is, because the bread itself is kind of, it's like a wet dough. You don't want it to be dry. That was my mistake that I did quite a bit at the beginning, is I'm used to bread being somewhat like you can handle it and knead it, and this bread you actually don't knead. That's why, again, this one's really easy, because you literally make this. It takes literally 10-15 minutes at the most to go ahead and mix everything, and then I'll go ahead and just kind of knead it just a little bit so it incorporates everything, and then I let it sit for 6 hours. I already had some pre-made, that way I can show you exactly what it looks like. So right now I'm just kind of kneading it and kind of pulling it off of the sides and pushing it into the middle. See if I can actually get a little bit of that on camera, which I don't know if I can, because it's very sticky, like very sticky at the beginning. And it does, I'll show you, because it actually develops more, the gluten in it actually develops a little bit more, so that you don't have to go ahead and worry about how sticky it is right now. Also, on a side note, the bread, I actually have a friend that is gluten sensitive. Not that they have an allergy, they're just gluten sensitive, and this is one where their stomach actually doesn't hurt when they eat it. So if you guys want to experiment with that, or know someone who has a gluten sensitivity, the gluten-free sourdough starter is something that you should definitely look into about making your own bread, especially if you want to be able to have bread. It's awesome. All right, so now that that is mixed, this, like, it's this sticky, like it is quite a wet bread, but I'm gonna go ahead and kind of get this into my hand if I can. And then that's why I have my avocado spray, so I can just spray the bowl. And yeah, I just keep it so I just keep it in the same bowl, dirty, because I'm gonna end up using it. So as much as I can get back on there, I'm gonna spray the top with the oil as well, and then I'm gonna go ahead and put saran wrap over the top of it. Be right back, because I'm gonna wash my hands real quick and I'm gonna get the other bowl. Okay, I'm back with what it will look like after it doubles in size, and it is ready to go ahead and punch down. This is after about, I think this one's been rising for about 4.5 hours. Normally I let it set about 6 hours. So the bread that I have back there that I just made, I'm actually probably gonna end up putting that in the refrigerator and letting it sit overnight, and taking it out in the morning and doing what I'm about to do to this, to go ahead and proof it again. That way I can go ahead and have more than one bread. I like doing that, because that one's easy enough. If you prepare it the night before and then just take it out in the morning and let it rise for another 6 hours, it still tastes great, and it has that fermented like sourdough taste. It's awesome. So right now I'm just gonna go ahead and squish it down. As you can tell already, it's not sticking to me like it was before. So that's the gluten developing in it. That is amazingness. So I'm just gonna go ahead and literally take it off to the sides and push down into the middle just to kind of give it that shape. It starts pulling off the sides, sticking to itself, and kind of going into a rounded dough. And what I do is I will go ahead and take my dough after it's been in there, and it's still sticky, but it's not as sticky as it was before. So I already have another dough that I proofed in my basket, and I'll have a link for that one as well. And I'll show you what I have. So this right here is, this one's already ready to go into the oven. And sorry about my Christmas towel. I like the tea towel because it's great for covering this up without it sticking to it. So this one, this is my bread bowl that I have that I will go ahead and proof. Sorry, had to get my parchment paper here. So this is how I end up getting my bread out of here. And it's the easiest way that I figured out. If anybody else has an easier way, that's great. I am not an expert by any means on this. So if y'all are making this already, then awesome. But I'm definitely not an expert. I literally just do this for my family. Right now I am waiting for the bread to actually fall out of this so I can take it up. If I don't want to force it, because then it'll tear a hole in it and it'll deflate, which I don't want. And also I have had them deflate, but with cooking it still goes ahead and puffs up just like it should. There we go. Perfect. So I go ahead and flour the inside of my bowl. It does come with a cloth that comes on top of it, but I have had too many bad experiences with the bread sticking, or the dough sticking to it. When I took that cloth out and I just flour this now, it doesn't stick as much. That's also something I learned from having that Facebook account on there. And I don't do any, you have to just go ahead and score it to go ahead and have it rise really pretty. I don't do anything special. I literally try to take a sharp knife, cut across if I can, and see, it already deflated a little bit. And I'll just do an X. I'm trying to barely push, but it doesn't always work. And usually you'll do this with a razor blade. I don't have one right now. I lost mine, so, oh well. So literally, as silly as it looks, that's all I do for my sourdough starter. And I've already been preheating my oven, and I have a Dutch oven is what I use. And I have this preheating in my oven, as you can tell. It is the perfect temperature to go ahead and put this in. I have granite countertops, so this kind of lets me do this. Be careful not to go ahead and touch the sides, because you will burn the crap out of your hands. I still have 2 scars from this. And this is the reason why I put the parchment paper on here, is because one, it doesn't stick to my pan and it stopped burning as much as it used to. Actually, my bread doesn't burn at all now that I have this. And it gets it to where you can drop it into a preheated pan without burning yourself. It does kind of pleat a little bit, so I try to flatten them out a little. Steam is ridiculous. All right, and I'm going to need my second one here. Sorry about that. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put that in there. I'm gonna bake this at 450 for about 35 to 45 minutes, just depending on the day. And it does vary from day to day because of the temperature and the humidity and all those things that play into it. I have a gas oven, so to me, sometimes it takes a little bit longer than the 30 to 45 minutes, but I like to go ahead and do it for about 45 minutes, take the lid off, and then you'll see it brown and crispy. So we'll come back to you when my oven goes off. So the bread is officially done. So I ended up cooking it for 35 minutes, and then I took the lid off to cook it for another 10 minutes so that it would brown on top. So I'm going to be doing more of these episodes with the sourdough starter. If you'd like to go ahead and see those, make sure to hit that subscribe button. So I'm going to cut into it so you can see what it looks like. It's not always perfect, and I love having the warm bread. The house smells amazing, by the way. I always cut it when it's still warm so I can put butter on it and eat it when it's warm. I know I'm still working on getting it holy. I don't know if you can see that, but it's still not as holy as I would hope for, but it's super soft and delicious. I've done quite a few things with our sourdough starter. I've made the jalapeno chive cheddar bread, which was amazing. It's one of Ben's favorites. I've made croissants, regular croissants and chocolate croissants. I've also made dumplings. There's a chocolate cake that I've really been wanting to go ahead and make, so I'll probably be doing that one in the future pretty soon. I really love doing the sourdough starter stuff because I know what's in your food. It's literally 3 ingredients in the starter, and most of the time that's what the breads are, as the starter and then 3 or 4 ingredients on top of that. Most of the stuff you already have in your house. So that's one of the reasons why I absolutely love using the starter, and I don't have to go ahead and use the yeast. I don't like the smell of it. So this is definitely something I recommend trying out. So if you'd like to go ahead and see more of these episodes, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.